So this video is all about the pandemic, childhood obesity, and tips to help. So as a mompreneur, you are managing your business. You're staying calm at home, at least trying to, and the holidays, everyone seemed to be getting sick. It's crazy how many people have been getting sick. I know I had a stomach virus and so did my whole family. But anyways, you're trying to keep it all together. Then on top of that, the pandemic, there's just been a huge rise in childhood obesity. So the reason I'm talking about that today is because it's something that I'm so passionate about and have done so much research. My dissertation years ago was about a school-based program that I had created to prevent childhood obesity through mindful eating. And this was for kids ages 7 to 12 because there was so much research on kids under 7 and over 12, but that was the population I really focused in on. So with that being said, I recently actually read this article that was published back in September of 2021, and it was from NPR, and they were talking about the impacts of COVID and the increase in weight gain in American children and teens. So they were around ages from like 2 to 19, but they did a study with 432,000 individuals, children and teens. And the percentage of obese children and teens had increased from 19% to 22% in a 9-month span. That's significant. We have not seen numbers like that. I know my research did not have those kind of numbers. So, but there's many factors that play a part into this and to address. So you have school closures that happened during the pandemic. That's still going on. Stress was increased, not only for the parents, but also for the kids, because now they have to learn online. Their teachers might not be really tech savvy. I know, like, I love my mom so much, but she's not the most tech savvy, and she's a teacher, so she was struggling. But imagine the kids too. And on top of that, there was a less ability to have the physical fitness that was happening or activity. They didn't have their PE classes in class. They might have had their PE teacher doing like Zoom or YouTube or something along those lines. But you have to remember too, now these kids are in front of a screen for extended periods of time, because now instead of having that classroom interaction, they're doing that on a screen. And then routines completely changed. You weren't having that same, okay, well, you're gonna have your lunch packed or buy from school. Instead, people could just go grab it from the cabinet, or a pantry. But what I found was interesting was the University of Michigan and Kaiser Permanente in Southern California published a study in August. So this article I had read was in September, that was similar. So I wanted to provide some tips that I know have helped in the past on a clinical level, personal level, professional level, of all kinds that you can start doing today if this is something that has impacted you in your life, in your children's life. So I'm going to pull that up right now. So the first thing is eliminating the do as I say, not as I do mentality. You have to remember, kids are sponges. If you're telling them to do something and you're not doing it, it's taking a step back and recognizing too, because kids will watch what you're doing and they'll hear you, but they're not maybe fully absorbing it versus like seeing it and doing as you do. So one thing to remember, more physical activity. So if you can have just a 15-minute walk as a family, that's better than nothing. But maybe if you do eat dinner together, you can go right after you eat dinner or before. Maybe it's just finding those pockets of time, because again, 15 minutes is better than nothing. The next thing is reducing recreational screen time. So now if the kids are at home, they're on their computer, their laptop, their iPad, whatever kind of technology they have, but maybe it's taking that time where it was their free time they were on the screen. Maybe it's playing a board game together. Maybe it's just playing cards, doing something active where you're not looking at a screen. It can be really helpful. The next thing is spending quality time with your children. So not even just playing the board games, but what is something you're doing without any digital distractions? Maybe it's, I live in Colorado now, and I mean, going on a hike. It's a little cold. I'm definitely a Florida girl, but going on a hike, or now that it is cold, like going snowboarding or skiing or tubing. And if you live in somewhere warm, like where I used to, Florida, like going to the beach as a family, having a meal together, being able to create some creativity around having that quality time with your children, because your kids need that. That's so important on a psychological level as well. The next thing, be mindful of your child's needs. Really listen to them. Listen to for what they're not saying. Even if because especially as they get into those preteen teen years, it's a little harder to get information out of them or be able to address certain things, but leaving the conversations open, just being mindful of their basic needs are met. Okay, now that the basic needs are met, like having conversations with them, checking in with them. Even if it's just like, hey, how was your day? Fine. What was fine about it? Nothing. Everything. Whatever, those simple words and responses, just check in with them. Give them that space. Even if they're resistant, continue to just be mindful of what your child needs, because you know, mothers always know. And the last thing is counseling. Is there any signs of stress or excessive eating or agitation or irritation, acting out, isolating? Really check in, because if you're checking in on their needs, you're going to be able to see if maybe they need a little extra support right now. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy or counseling at all. As I've worked in that field for so long, and I absolutely am a huge advocate for it, but it's really understanding what do your kids need. So I hope this was helpful. If you liked what I was saying, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, let me know what was really helpful, and I cannot wait to see you again.